Hey, what's going on, fam? So another quick video. I just want to talk about YouTube's censorship. So I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, even though I just never really knew I wasn't sure if it was worth making a video over, but I am starting to get enough annoyed with YouTube censorship that I am going to make a video over it. So fam, I do comment on other channels. Some of them are pro-black channels, some of them aren't. But if I ever try to mention the word racism or white supremacy or anti-blackness, YouTube's algorithms are meant to block and delete those comments, especially on super chats. I can never type the word white supremacy. I can never type the word racism or racist. And these words are not bad words, okay? These are words meant to call out racism. But the white supremacists, what they've done, and you'll get this a lot from conservative white supremacists, is they've done their best because they feel so attacked by the word racism. Because fam, let's be clear. When you call someone a racist or when you expose, this is why it's so important to call out white supremacy. Just the fact that you're calling out racism exposes everybody knows that racism and white supremacy is an illogical, demonic mindset. And if you are acknowledging how demonic it is, you are very likely to not allow people or to do what you can to stop people from practicing white supremacy and perpetuating white supremacy, because everyone knows that it's illogical and indefensible and unjustifiable, which is also part of the reason why white supremacy is all about justification, which is why we see them digging up, the fact that Trayvon Martin or Botham Jean so-called smoked weed, or they'll bring up the fact that George Floyd was allegedly passing off a bad check, because they have to, in order to not feel demonic in their own spirit and to be able to sleep with their own demonic nature at night. White supremacists have to justify white supremacy. This is why even during slavery, the white supremacists would justify, even though they didn't have to justify it. They had all the power. They could just rape and not, they didn't have to justify or defend anything. But even during slavery, the white supremacists would find ways to justify what they're doing. They would call black, like when they were raping black women, they would go out of their way to write papers about how slutty black women are and how much sexual lust black women have. Why? Because they wanted to justify raping them. So they're saying, "Hey, these women are such whores. They're just jumping on every dick. That's why I'm fucking them all the time." That's what white supremacists would say. So understand that there's a reason why white supremacists don't want you calling out the word racist, and a lot of times why they will try to equate you calling out racism with being a racist. And it's the same reason why the white supremacists are censoring, and they have their algorithm censor words that are calling out racism. So fam, I tried to post a comment on my video, my last video debunking what about black on black crime. I tried to post this comment that I'm about to read. I tried to post it on my own video 3 times, and YouTube would not allow me to post it because YouTube is ran by white supremacists who have put in their algorithm to censor the words white supremacy, racism, racist, and anti-blackness. They have put in their algorithm to censor those words. I tried to post a comment on someone else's video talking about how anti-black they are. They censored that word. I can't type the word white people. I can't type the word black or black people. I can't type the word white supremacist, anti-blackness, racist, especially in super chats. But even in a lot of the regular chats, the regular comments, I can't post these words. I couldn't post the word anti-black in somebody's comments. So, fam, what I want to do is read the comment that YouTube would not let me post on my own video. So I put, "P.S. fam, one thing I forgot to mention in the video is that black people in Chicago have been reporting for years that suspected white supremacists are committing crimes like drive-bys in Chicago. First, because they know they can get away with it, knowing any crime will be blamed on quote-unquote black-on-black crime. and that also it will falsely boost those quote unquote black on black crime stats that race soldiers depend upon to as a pretense to justify committing violence against black society. And again, fam, this is another, when I was talking about the justification, this is another reason why the white supremacists make sure to put out talking points like black on black crime, because they need to justify white supremacy for their own mental peace, so that they can be a demonic white supremacist without admitting to themselves that they're a demonic white supremacist. All right, it's like if a pedophile knew that being a pedophile was wrong. So instead of saying that that are admitting that they're a pedophile, they'll come up with some story that the child is hypersexualized and the child came on to them, and they just wanted to mentor the child, and the child did everything in their power to make the pedophile molest them. It's the same thing. The white supremacists are basically doing that same thing. They have a deep psychological, I don't even know the word, disconnect, or I can't even think of a good word to describe it, but there's something deep in their head where they want to be white supremacists without acknowledging that they are white supremacists, because they know that's an indefensible, demonic, amoral mentality to have, and a demonic, amoral behavior to practice. So they have to justify it. Even speaking of the justification, even Ida B. Wells talked about this back in the day. She used to talk about how the white supremacists used to convince her. This is back in the 20s when lynchings and racism was open, right? Was supposedly way more open than it is now. Yet you can see Ida B. Wells talking about basically 100 years ago that before she got awakened, she used to think that all these black men who were getting lynched by the white supremacists getting hung from trees must have done something to justify getting murdered and hung by trees. And then she learned later on that they were not doing anything, and that the white supremacists were coming up with excuses. And you can look this up. If you study Ida B. Wells, if you Google her, you can easily find this information. Just Google Ida B. Wells on lynching. So this justification thing that we're still dealing with a lot of Negroes falling for now, it's not new. We had Negroes back in the 1920s falling for the justification narrative. And that also tells you that white supremacists were pushing justification narratives, even back in the days when racism was so-called much worse, which is why me and a lot of other people say much hasn't changed. A lot has changed on the surface, but a lot of things haven't changed when you really boil it down and look at it, down to the essence of it. And if we look at lynchings, what did white supremacists always say? Oh, he raped some white woman. Oh, he stole something from a store. These white supremacists, they would never admit, even back in the 20s, that I'm just hanging this person just because they're black. They would always come up with excuse. Emmett Till, what was the so-called justification? He raped a white woman. He didn't rape a white woman, but they always come up with a justification. Black Wall Street, why was that burned down? Because a black male that lived in Tulsa supposedly raped a white woman in an elevator. He did not rape a white woman in an elevator, but they need a justification. And that's all that matters. As long as they can get a justification, it doesn't matter if we all know the truth. They know that they're not going to admit to the truth for another 50 years after the people who commit the crime are already dead. But in the meantime, it gives them just enough room to get away with the justification, fam. But anyway, I want to finish reading my comment that that YouTube wouldn't allow me to post on my channel. So it says, I said, last, in response to the recent protests, there are reports that race soldiers pretending to be police have deputized anti-black Latin gangs in Chicago to attack black people under the false pretense of stopping looters. Keep those facts in mind as well. The anti-black racists have their black operatives trying to make a false case based on a large number of reported killings in Chicago over this past weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if many of those murders were committed by white supremacists and wannabe white supremacists. So, fam, we all know that in Chicago recently, the white supremacists have deputized Latin gangs to so-called stop looters, and that's just a code That's just a cover to justify them murdering. Again, justification is the key word with white supremacy. Justification. In order to justify murdering black people under the false guise of the fact that they're stopping looters. Fam, YouTube is censoring comments, okay? Also, I want to talk about this because I know that people post on my channel, and times there are times when comments get deleted. Just know, fam, that I'm not, a lot of times, if you can't post your comment on my channel, understand that it's not me deleting your comment, I would say half the time or more. It's YouTube deleting your comment, especially if you were typing a constructive comment. But let's say that you were typing a troll comment. Yes, because I've multiple times warned trolls not to come onto my channel. Yes, if you were trolling me, there is a good chance that I deleted your comment, but there's also pretty much just as good a chance that YouTube still deleted your comment, even if you were on the channel trolling me or disagreeing with me. There's still a 50% chance that YouTube censored your comment. For example, I had a white supremacist troll show up on my video claiming that I deleted his video when I did, or deleted his comments when I didn't. If I did, I would admit to it, but I didn't delete his comment. Some white supremacist or Sambo troll showed up on my channel talking about, you're just showing how racist you really are by deleting my comments. The fact you said you wouldn't mind if somebody who's black is harmed if they don't agree with you. Well, you are just the problem. And I told this troll, look, I didn't delete your comment, but apparently YouTube did me a favor by deleting your comment in this case anyway, because clearly you're just a little troll, a little racist, wannabe, white supremacist troll, one of those things. And let me address his comment, fam. So first of all, in my last video, in my What About Black on Black Crime video, I said I would not mind, based on the facts about black on black crime and how dangerous of a narrative, because as I just spent explaining in this video, white supremacy is all about justification. It's all about controlling the narrative. White supremacy, they're one of their biggest tools outside of violence to maintain white supremacy is words. White supremacists maintain white supremacy with words. I need black people to understand this. This is why it's so important to control the words that you use and to address and expose the deceptive words and the deceptive speech patterns that white supremacists use. Because white supremacists have literally talked black people into not dealing with white supremacy. That's why we've been dealing with it for 500 years. Yes, they used to use violence, but they've also talked us into it. White supremacy uses talking right now as its primary tool to maintain white supremacy, because they come up with everything. What about black on black crime? This, that, and the other. Racism is a thing of the past. White supremacists control and maintain white supremacy with words. That's why Negroes who use white supremacist talking points are giving green lights for white supremacy to continue. And white supremacy is a demonic, deadly philosophy. Ahmaud Arbery is dead because of white supremacy. Emmett Till is dead because of white supremacy. Breonna Taylor is dead because of white supremacy. So this is not a game. This is not something, this is not just a disagreement. And that's the other thing. That's another way that white supremacists use deceptive words to maintain white supremacy. This troll tried to use the same white supremacist talking points that all white supremacists try to use. They try to make racism about disagreement. My rights and my life is not up for debate. I'm not going to argue with you about whether or not I should be killed because I'm black. That's not up for debate. That's not a debatable topic. So this white supremacist wants to say, oh, you said you wouldn't mind if somebody who's black is harmed if they don't agree with you. No, I didn't say that. Because it's not about no damn agreement. You don't get to say black on black crime because it's a white supremacist talking point. As I already exposed in that last video, every race kills their own race higher than other races kill their race. Every race does that. Yet only black people have to talk about it. So do you mean to tell me that if I go out here and I murder 6 white people, that a bunch of people are going to go on TV and start talking about, what about white on white crime? Did you know that 84% of white people who are murdered by other white people? Or is anybody going to say that to defend me? Any black or white person going to say that to defend me? No. So no, it's not about no goddamn debate. And that's another thing that white supremacists try to do. They try to make white supremacy about a debate, and that gets you to let it go because, again, oh, well, it's just a disagreement. No, it's not just a disagreement. Ahmaud Arbery getting killed because he's black is not about no goddamn different viewpoints. That's about white supremacy. And that's what white supremacists try to do. Oh, it's a different viewpoint. You just don't like it and people don't agree with you. That's why everybody wants to act like now they understand what Colin Kaepernick was protesting. But remember, back when he was protesting, everybody wanted to make it about a disagreement. Because that's a green light to not have to talk about it. Therefore, you can keep doing it and pretending that it's not happening. And nobody will call you to task because, oh, it's just a disagreement. Oh, I don't agree. That's basically what people were saying. Oh, I don't agree with Colin Kaepernick that black people shouldn't be killed and murdered because they're black, and then the cops get off because the victim was black. That's basically what people were saying, but then again, they make it about a deflecting excuse about, oh, it's the flag and the military and the blah blah blah, and that's why I'm proud of a lot of black people for drawing the line on that crap and saying that, hey, we're not gonna let that, oh, it's about the flag and the military crap stand no more. I'm finally glad that a lot of black people caught on to that white supremacist game, but we didn't catch on enough because we're not calling out the people who used to say that crap. We're only holding people accountable who are saying it now going forward. But we're not going back and bringing into account all the people who were saying that back in 2016, 17, and 18, which we need to do. We need to go back and call out all these sports figures, all these politicians who were, all these political media figures who were running around talking about flag and military because they were justifying white supremacy. So we don't only need to call the people who are saying it now, like Drew Brees. We need to call the people who were saying it then. You don't get off the hook when you were out here justifying anti-black murders. And again, I don't get into that. And all black people, we need to have zero tolerance for this. This is the only way that we're going to start to defeat white supremacy, because they maintain it with words. So we have to start dismantling it with words. And again, fam, I'm not saying that it's going to be talking alone that defeats white supremacy, but I strongly believe using the right words, using the right language will strongly help you to damage and severely diminish the power of white supremacy. Just by using the right words, you will do immense damage to white supremacy. And this is why I'm so on the neck of Negroes like Boyce Watkins and other people who use words like Democratic down ballot, because words matter. Words matter. And that's the two things I want this video to be about. First of all, about YouTube censorship and why words matter. White supremacists maintain white supremacy with words. That's why black people must stay on code. That's why black people who are on code must be willing to call out black people who are not on code. Because these Negroes, is not just words. These words lead to the deaths of black people. The Negroes who were justifying the Trayvon Martin are the same Negroes who have given green lights to Ahmaud Arbery getting killed and George Floyd getting killed. Because you allow people to change the subject, change the narrative, so that they can give cover to the crimes that they are committing. So no, it's not okay for Joyce. I don't care who likes him, who's his friend. It's not okay for Joyce to be talking about what about black on black crime. He is literally putting black people's lives in danger. So yes, I said I do not mind if Boyce and any other Negro who spits black on black crime talking points are the next victim of black on black crime. Because as I said in the last video, Haiti is the only people who realized they had to get the Sambos and the race traders out of the mix, and that's why they are the only people who had a successful slave revolt. But guess what? Do you know why Haiti's back in the condition it is today? Because even they still got took down by the slaves, by the Sambos. Dessalines, once he got in power, he was taken out of power and murdered by the Sambos who wanted the white supremacists to still have control over Haiti. So even the Haitians who had a successful slave revolt, that slave revolt was undone by the Sambos because they let too many Sambos live. Even though they took out a lot of them and they took out enough in order for them to have a successful revolt, they didn't take out all of them. So yes, I don't care. I would not be hurt. I might be a little bit happy if something happened to Joyce. And now again, like I said, I'm not saying that anybody who's listening to me should go out and hurt the dude or commit any violence. But if something were to happen to Joyce, I wouldn't be upset. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't mind it because Joyce is endangering other black people's lives when he goes out here and talks about what about black on black crime. And it's even worse because someone like him knows better. With all the pro-blackness he's pretended to talk in the past, with all the so-called pro-black people he's been around, the pro-black people he still has on his channel and in his employment, like that Vicky Dillard woman, he should know better than to be putting out some dangerous-ass talking point like what about black on black crime. And Boyce Watkins is literally putting black people's lives in danger by pushing that crap. So yes, I don't mind if these Negroes are the next victim of black on black crime. And yes, I secretly pray to Ogun that they are the next victims of black on black crime. Because we need these Negroes out the damn paint. Words matter. YouTube is censoring my channel, fam. So if you posting comments and they're not showing up on the channel, just know half the time it's YouTube deleting them. Even if you're showing up to troll me, just know that half the time it's YouTube deleting your comments. And no, I'm not going to argue with you about pro-white supremacy talking points. That's the other problem that black people get caught up in. They let white supremacists make it about an argument. That's why black people have to sit up here and justify and explain Black Lives Matter. That's a time-wasting tactic because white supremacists use words to perpetuate white supremacy. That's why they go around talking about all lives matter, because it's a way to deflect away from the issue so that white supremacy can't continue. That's why black people have to sit up and say, we're not saying that Black Lives Matter only. We're just saying that Black Lives Matter too. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not arguing with white supremacists about whether or not white supremacy is justified. And when you start making all these low-key excuses, when you start talking about all lives matter and the military, I'm going to cut through the BS. I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to cut to the chase and start calling you a damn white supremacist, because that's what you are. I'm not going to play the games with you, and more black people need to have that mentality. We're not going to entertain your white supremacist word games. We are going to cut to the chase. But anyway, fam, that's just another rant. I knew I was kind of on two different topics there at the same time, but I just wanted to get that off my chest. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, and peace.